Our today's session is about navigating career opportunities for young computer scientists, how they can get roles in big techs. And our guest speaker is Hamza Rashid. Hamza has over 8 years of experience in DevOps and platform engineering in different European-based tech startups, and he has also worked in Microsoft. And currently, he is working as a technical account manager at Amazon Web Services (AWS). Thank you, Hamza, for joining, and we are very grateful to have you. And we are looking forward to a very good webinar. So over to you.
Thank you, Amna, for the kind introduction. Let me just share my screen and then we can get started. Just 1 second. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, it is visible.
Cool. First of all, thank you everybody for joining, and thank you for this opportunity to FEMCodes. So this is a very brief presentation, so I'll try my best to share my story. It doesn't necessarily mean that this will be the exact pathway you can follow, but hopefully this can give you enough guidance to build your own pathway and build your career from it. So I'll start with my introduction, and then we'll discuss what are the foundations, what are the core skills that are required for you to make it as a programmer, as a computer science graduate, and then we'll discuss on what are the things that we need to focus on to excel our career, whether that is at big tech or any other good company that you want to build your career at, but what are the skills that you would need to build over time, and lastly, what I can share further to build yourself for it, right? So a bit about me. So I started with my own startup back in university at Comsec. Worked on that for 1.5 years. We built a smart irrigation platform. Frankly, it didn't work out. It wasn't a success. But by the time I graduated, it did help me have enough skills, both in development and you can say also soft skills to be able to land a good job. I started working at Grana, then worked mainly at eMumbai as a lead DevOps engineer for about 2 years. After that, I moved to Germany, worked at About You. So their revenue was around, I think it was a 2 to 3 billion euro company. Worked there for about 2 years. Moved to as Corber as a platform architect. There I led teams on software as a service as a whole. So both covering all cloud platforms, essentially both Microsoft and Azure. From there, I had roughly a team of 15 people all around the globe. After that, I moved to Picnic in the Netherlands. Here I was the tech lead for platform, so focusing on self-service developer ecosystem. And more recently, I joined Amazon Web Services, working as a technical account manager. So my role right now is working as a strategic partner to customers and enabling them in their cloud journey. So my main, it's less technical, but more business focused towards the customer on what they are trying to achieve and how Amazon can help them bridge that gap. And where technical skills are required, we pull in the right technical specialists for that. So I also have my own personal expertise, which is DevOps and platform engineering. If that's the case, if that's a topic that they need help in, I personally do that. Otherwise, I pull in the right people. But mainly the focus is always on the business aspect of things, what the business is trying to achieve and how Amazon can help bridge that gap. Yeah, so as you can see, I started with a very small companies in Pakistan, and made it to Alhamdulillah to Amazon now. Also, I worked at Microsoft, but I wasn't a direct employee. That was actually part of my employment at eMember. So I was working through eMember. It was a direct employment. So let's get into it. Uh, So first of all, the fundamental thing is the foundations. So whichever big tech company you apply at, or actually other software companies as well, the first focus, especially for graduates, is the foundations. That is your essential programming skills, uh, object-oriented programming, SQL, design backgrounds. So for this, you really need to build these, and you need to be really good at them. So the language doesn't matter. So whatever your choice of language is, you can use that, but the concepts remain the same, and you need to be really good at them. Uh, and the university does a good job at teaching all those to you. So it's just important that we remember that when we go for interviews. Uh, uh, yeah, so core skills, that's number one is programming. That's what you really need to focus on, that you should be really good at programming. So read books like Clean Code, on books on design patterns. So that you will find plenty of resources on these. So it's just important to really nail those. So also for programming and design patterns, use lead code. During my time, lead code used to be a book in which you had like 1,000 questions you would solve, essentially in a speed manner. That essentially when you go in an interview, you would be given a set of tasks that you need to solve in like an hour or 2 hours. And if you are able to do it, only then you obviously pass the interview. So data structures and algorithms essentially comes as part of it. So doing a lot of lead code right now is obviously a SaaS platform online. You can do all the exercises there. HackerRank is also one that I know of, but there are plenty of others as well. So really important to first build that skill that you can go and do lead code programming questions. The great part of doing lead code is that most of the time, especially at good companies, you will get questions that are simply repeated from lead code. So it makes it far easier. It's not easy, but obviously you can see the solutions and learn that. Then comes a very important aspect that people mostly skip, which is networking. So networking is something that is taught at the university, but we take it very lightly. I mean, I know I did. And actually during the hardest part for me for my interview at AWS was networking. This was the one where I was drilled the most, and I had prepared the most for as well. But the only reason I had to prepare a lot for it was the fact that I never gave it that as much attention as I should have. And the most fundamental thing of all is the operating system that you build things on, which I would recommend should be Linux. It shouldn't be Windows. And if you are using Windows for your day-to-day, it's fine. But for development, you should use Linux. Windows now also has a Windows subsystem for Linux, so you can also use that. But all your development work should be in Linux. So it makes it far easier, because also at the end when you build an application, in the end your backend or front end, in the end it's gonna get deployed on a Linux server most of the time, unless you are developing .NET applications, in which case they obviously get deployed on Windows servers, but everything else essentially runs on Linux. So it's very important to run Linux. A very good book for getting started in Linux is the Linux Bible. I will share these links with you later on, and FEMCodes can post that. So yeah, very important to focus on all the core skills. This is what you need to make it, to just make it as a computer science graduate, to be able to get a decent job, right? And now let's talk about, okay, what do you need to build on to actually make it into really good companies, or in other words, FAANG, these days is also called Mang or Mango. Uh, so what should we focus on? So number one obviously comes as your core skills. The second part is, okay, what we need to focus on is, okay, what's in demand right now. So let's say you are graduating in a year, you cannot be focusing on something that's going to be valuable in 5 years, because then you will not be able to land a job, right? So the first step is uh, figuring that out. So you can, the easier way to do it, you can evaluate based on LinkedIn jobs, or essentially what are the in-demand skills right now. Maybe it's React.js, it's Node.js, which is essentially JavaScript that you want to build your skills on. Or, for example, right now, if somebody says, I'm going to learn PHP and focus on WordPress, that's a bad idea. I mean, it's not bad for the people who are already doing it. They have made their career and they have excelled at it. But for you to make your place in the market, you need to focus on something that's new, or that is high in demand, for which there are less people in the market. So should be your current focus, right? Then comes the part of soft skills. So a lot of us, including me, lack at soft skills. And it is very important to build the soft skills to be able to communicate with people. The English, to be honest, becomes a problem for us when especially we work at consulting companies, where we have to talk directly to our clients, which obviously only speak English, or even if they do speak other languages, the common language is always English. So it's important you have sufficient knowledge of English. You don't need to be great at it, but do all of your presentations, or utilize all the opportunities you can get where you speak at different uh, webinars, etc., or presentations. Just use that time as your personal learning experience, instead of just thinking of it as a presentation, but more of an internal your personal practice to build yourself. And also, there are a lot of great. There's a really great broadcast that I listen to every time, is the soft skills engineering. This the podcast not only tells you on, okay, what let's say how to communicate, etc., but also on how to navigate the daily professional life. Okay, let's say you want to ask for a raise. What's the way to ask for a raise? Let's say you want to negotiate your salary, how you should go about negotiating your salary. So there are really important and practical aspects of how you should do these things, and it works out great. But if you don't play it by the book, let's say, but these laws aren't written anywhere, is that you essentially don't get a good feedback from your employers. Give me 1 second. I need to connect my charger. Okay. Lastly, the purpose of, okay, how you engineer your career. So until now what we covered is on, okay, by the time you graduate, you should be able to find a good job. These are the fundamental things. If you take care of that, unlikely that you will not be able to land a job, a decent job. But now the important part becomes on, okay, how do you ensure that you get a escalated, or you can say a fast forwarded career. So by in 5 to 7 years, you are working as an architect or a principal engineer, which is not easy. The normal time is like minimum 10 to 12 years. So you're talking about essentially increasing it, almost reducing it by half. And for that, what you need to do is first, and also that by the time in the next 5-7 years, you should be at the top of the game, and you should be in high demand. And because the things that you learn right now, in 5 to 7 years, they are gonna be almost obsolete. right? So you, at the same time, you need to build yourself up for that. So for that, you have to review the trends. You need to follow the tech news. Okay, what's going on? And for us, our Mecca is Silicon Valley. So you need to be actively reading news from the Silicon Valley. What's going on? What are the new companies? What the big tech is working on? What are the new startups coming up? So you can follow Y Combinator. So Y Combinator is a startup accelerator. So all the startups, they go to all these accelerator where they get an initial set of money, like say 200K to build a MVP, minimal viable platform, and then they raise funding rounds, and then you essentially have all these startups, like you have Google, starting from all these Google, Uber, YouTube, whatever. All these are essentially startups. And how startups work is they raise money for a round, they build a set of features. If they are making enough revenue, then for launching the next set of features or launching in new markets, they will raise another round, series of investment round. And let's say then in the second round, they will raise $2 million to be able to launch in, let's say, Australia. So those kind of things. And but what you need to know is what are these startups working on? That's where the investment is being put into, and that will define, okay, like because for example, right now all the investment is in AI, and if you look at the startups that are getting these investments, they are mostly building agentic systems. They are building monitoring or logging solutions for these agentic systems, building guardrails for these systems. So everything around AI. So they are solving different problems around AI, and then you need to. So you will obviously need fundamental skills for AI, that is machine learning, deep learning, etc. But then you need to know, okay, how it actually works in production, and what specific problem area we need to focus on, and that's the knowledge that you need to build. So for example, I can give my example that when I graduated, there were in Pakistan, there were in 2017, there was no job posting for a DevOps engineer. But there were postings at Adidas, Twitter, Big Tech, everything. Because DevOps was coined as a term in 2011 by Twitter. That this is how it should be. Your development and your operations teams should work together. And that was a common thing in the Silicon Valley in like 2011, 2012. They had teams doing that. Now you have a lot of tools to take care of all of this, but those teams were building those systems themselves and doing all this. So that was the thing. 2017, 2018, there was nothing. So at the time, my first job at Grana was working both as a developer plus a DevOps engineer, was working on the applications in React.js and deploying them, and also taking care of their AWS environment. And then I did AWS certifications back in 2018, I think. And after that, moved to eMember. And 2019 was the first time there was a posting in Pakistan for DevOps engineer, and I applied for that, and I got that job mainly because there was nobody else there to compete for it. But my first job to be actually able to start it was the current one. At the time, React.js, Node.js were at the top as in demand, right? And then I started as a DevOps engineer, and now I, by default, have you can say, a head start on everybody else. So that's how you need to evaluate it. So your Silicon Valley, the news from there and what they are working on, that should be you should know about that and figure out, okay, what are the things that make sense for you, is more interesting for you, and then you can work on that. Cool.
Sorry to interrupt, Hamza.
Yes.
Kanji, you can speak in Urdu because I see some of the students are even in the
Yeah, of
second
course.
years.
No, I didn't know
guess,
we only had people from Pakistan. I think
yes.
so. I can quickly repeat. So जो मैं बात कर रहा था कि फंडामेंटली सबसे पहले तो आपके कोर स्किल्स है ना, जो भी आप प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज आपको एक अच्छी आनी चाहिए, ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग अच्छी तरह पता होना चाहिए आपको, ठीक है। फिर डिजाइन पैटर्न्स आ गए, फिर आपने देखना करंट मार्केट में क्या चल रहा है, आजकल किसकी ज्यादा जॉब्स है, तो वो आजकल जावास्क्रिप्ट में ज़्यादा आ रही हैं, रास्टिक लैंग्वेज उसमें है, पाइथन में आ रही हैं। पाइथन में है तो पाइथन का कौन सा फ्रेमवर्क है, जेंगो में ज़्यादा हायरिंग हो रही है या फास्ट एपीआई की पूछ रहे हैं, ठीक है। और इसके साथ एक चीज़ जो मैं पहले मेंशन करना भूल गया कि ड्यूरिंग यूनिवर्सिटी, यूनिवर्सिटी जितना भी आपसे काम करवा रही है और वो आप सारा का सारा बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हैं, दैट इज़ बहुत अच्छी बात है और वो करना ज़रूरी है, बट दैट इज़ नॉट, वो काफ़ी नहीं है आपके लिए, ठीक है। यू आपको उसके अलावा भी और चीज़ें करनी हैं एट द सेम टाइम ड्यूरिंग योर यूनिवर्सिटी पीरियड। तो एक पूरी प्रोडक्ट बनाएं, उसका एक अच्छा आसान तरीका ये है कि आप लेट्स से आप ट्विटर का एग्जैक्ट रेप्लिका बना लें और उस वेबसाइट को लाइव कर लें, ठीक है, और उसके सारे फीचर्स वन बाय वन बिल्ड करें। तो आपको हर चीज़ की समझ आएगी। अच्छा, मैसेंजर कैसे काम करता है, लाइव पुश नोटिफिकेशंस भेजनी हो तो कैसे काम करती हैं, डेटाबेस कैसे काम करता है इस चीज़ के लिए, या कौन कौन सा डेटाबेसेस यूज़ किए जाते हैं, ठीक है। पेज में स्क्रॉलिंग किस तरह काम करती है। तो आप जब एक कोई भी प्रोडक्ट लेके पूरी बनाएंगे ना, ट्विटर है, फेसबुक है, इंस्टाग्राम है, इंस्टाग्राम लेक्स से आप बनाते हैं तो आप उसमें पिक्चर किस तरह पोस्ट करते हैं, पिक्चर को डेटाबेस में कैसे रखते हैं। फिर ऑडियो अब आ गई, ऑडियो किस तरह बनाते हैं, ऑडियो किस तरह अपलोड किस तरह करेंगे, सर्वर पे किस तरह रखेंगे, ठीक है। वो सारी चीज़ें जब आप एक पूरा प्रोडक्ट बनाएंगे ना तो आपको सारी समझ आएंगी। नॉर्मली हम लोग जो गलती करते हैं वो ये है कि हम सिर्फ अपने FYP को एक पूरी प्रोडक्ट बनाते हैं और तब हमारे पास वर्कलोड भी होता है, FYP की और चीज़ें भी होती हैं, साथ बंदा जॉब ढूंढ रहा होता है, तो कभी इतना टाइम मिलता नहीं है उस टाइम पे कि आप उसको परफेक्ट कर सको। तो अगर आप पहले से ही शुरू चौथे पांचवें सेमेस्टर में बंदे के पास इतना नॉलेज ज़रूर होता है कि वो उन सारी चीज़ों को बिल्ड कर ले, बिल्ड करना स्टार्ट कर ले, साथ साथ आप काम करते रहें उस पर। कोई करने थोड़ी आ रहा है, आपने खुद ही सीखना है, राइट। तो उसको आप बिल्ड करें, अपना एक पोर्टफोलियो बना लें, वो एक प्रोडक्ट ही हो लेकिन उस प्रोडक्ट को आप अच्छे से अच्छा करते जाएं, ठीक है। और तो वो उससे दो फायदे होते हैं। एक तो ये कि आपको आपका एक एग्जाम्पल भी तैयार हो जाता है, जो कोई भी आपसे पूछे, किसी को भी आपने भेजना है कहीं भी अप्लाई करते हो, साथ आप उसका लिंक दे देते हो लाइव का, तो यहाँ पे जाके आप देख लें मैंने ये बनाया हुआ है, ठीक है। और आप और आपके लिए भी कि आप जो भी कोई चीज़ आप कहीं पे भी डेवलप करने जाओगे, आपने ऑलमोस्ट हर चीज़ को टच किया हुआ है। पुश नोटिफिकेशंस कैसे काम करती हैं, स्क्रॉलिंग किस तरह काम करती है, पेजेस किस तरह काम करते हैं, लाइव लोडिंग किस तरह काम करती है, लेजी लोडिंग किस तरह काम करती है, ठीक है, कैशिंग किस तरह काम करती है, तो SMS या नोटिफिकेशंस किस तरह भेजते हैं, ठीक है, वो सारे आपको उन चीज़ों का आइडिया मिल जाएगा। तो फिर जब आप जाके इंटरव्यू देने जाएंगे तो आपको चीज़ों का पता होगा। अच्छा, नॉट जस्ट कि अच्छा कोड करना मुझे आता है, मैंने कोई चीज़ बिल्ड भी की हुई है, तो आप किसी के साथ बैठ डिस्कशन कर सकते हो कि जब अगला आपको कोई काम देता है तो यू नो हाउ टू गेट स्टार्टेड। आप बिल्कुल ग्राउंड जीरो पे नहीं खड़े, और आपको इसके लिए ढेर सारे कोर्सेज मिल जाएंगे जो आपको कहेगा ट्विटर का रेप्लिका बना लो, फेसबुक का बना लो, व्हाट्सएप का बना लो, एंड आई हाईली रिकमेंड यू टू डू दैट। मैंने खुद इस तरह काफ़ी रेप्लिकास बनाए हैं, बल्कि AWS पे भी जब मैंने स्टार्ट किया था 2017, मैंने 2016-17 में AWS पे सीखना शुरू किया था, तो मैं उनकी ही ब्लॉग पोस्ट में जो एग्जांपल दी होती थी ना कि ये चीज़ आप इस तरह बना सकते हैं, मैं उसको कॉपी पेस्ट सिंपली बनाता था। अच्छा, ये इन्होंने बनाया हुआ है तो सिंपली बस वो बना के देखिए, अच्छा ये किस तरह बनता है। तो उससे आपका स्टार्ट में नॉलेज बिल्ड होना स्टार्ट होता है ना कि अच्छा चीज़ें काम किस तरह करती हैं। एक्सपर्टीज आने में बड़ा टाइम लगता है, बंदा आहिस्ता आहिस्ता काम करता है, सीखता है और बढ़ता है, लेकिन आपको एक स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट मिल जाता है, ठीक है। और लास्टली अब हम ट्रेंड्स और अगले 5-10 साल के लिए अपने आप को किस तरह प्रिपेयर करना है, वो ये है कि आप जो मैं पहले भी बात कर रहा था कि आपने सिलिकॉन वैली की न्यूज़ फॉलो करनी। उसके लिए एक है क्रंच बेस, टेक क्रंच है, ठीक है। और इस तरह और भी बहुत ज़्यादा न्यूज़ आउटलेट्स हैं जिधर से आपको सिलिकॉन वैली की स्टार्टअप्स की न्यूज़ मिल जाएगी। आप गूगल करें, चैट जीपीटी से पूछें, आपको आराम से इनफ डाटा मिल जाएगा, ठीक है। और उससे उससे आप आराम से गेज कर सकते हैं कि नई कंपनीज किस पे काम कर रही हैं, जिसके लिए आपको साथ साथ बिल्ड करना चाहिए। और वो काम आहिस्ता आहिस्ता पाकिस्तान में आउटसोर्स होता है, यहाँ से उन चीज़ों के लिए लोग हायर होते हैं, और यहाँ से पहले आप शुरू में उन कंपनीज के लिए काम करते हो, अच्छा काम करते हो, देन क्योंकि आपने वो अच्छा काम किया हुआ है, देन फॉर दैट बिकॉज ऑफ दैट एक्सपीरियंस then you can easily move into bigger companies. ठीक है. लास्टली एक और चीज जो मैं टच करना चाहूँगा इसमें वो है सिस्टम्स इंटरव्यू जो होता है कंपनीज बिग टेक में. लाजमी तौर पे उसमें बेसिकली ये होता है कि वो आपको कहते हैं कि आपने व्हाट्सएप बनाओ, तो कैसे बनाओगे. तो वो आपसे बेसिकली आर्किटेक्चर डायग्राम उसकी बनवाते हैं और फिर एक एक डिफरेंट मसला सॉल्व करवाते हैं उसका. तो यूट्यूब पे आप कोई भी कंपनी का नाम लिखें, AWS सिस्टम्स इंटरव्यू या फेसबुक सिस्टम्स इंजीनियरिंग इंटरव्यू, तो वो आपको बहुत अच्छी समझ आएगी कि किस तरह इंटरव्यू होता है. एक तो वो वाली बात भी, और दूसरा कि सिस्टम बनाया किस तरह जाता है. अगर मैंने व्हाट्सएप डिज़ाइन करना है तो मैंने क्या क्या चीज़ें सोच के बनानी है, उसमें क्या क्या मसला आएगा. जब लाखों यूजर्स ने यूज़ करना है तो उसको स्केल मैंने किस तरह करना है. या अगर फॉर एग्जांपल आपने देखा होगा कि अगर इंटरनेट स्लो चल रहा हो तो आपके टेक्स्ट मैसेजेस आ जाते हैं लेकिन आपके वॉइस मैसेजेस नहीं जाते, फौरन नहीं पहुंचते, टेक्स्ट मैसेजेस पहले पहुंच जाते हैं. दैट इज बिकॉज उसमें प्रायोरिटी सेट हुई है कि अगर ट्रांसमिशन जो है आपकी नेटवर्क स्पीड है वो लो आ रही है तो वो प्रायोरिटाइज करता है कि मैंने टेक्स्ट मैसेजेस पहले भेजने हैं, ठीक है, और वॉइस को बाद में भेजना है, वॉइस को उसके बाद में भेजना है, और इमेजेस और वीडियो, इमेजेस को उसके बाद और वीडियो को उसके बाद. नॉर्मल चल रहा है तो सारी बात है, जो चीज़ जिस फ्लो में आई वो जाएगी, लेकिन दैट्स हाउ इट प्रायोरिटाइजेस इट. ठीक है. तो और जारी बात है हाउ यू वुड इम्प्लीमेंट दिस, तो इट्स नॉट दैट सिंपल. उसको कैसे आप करेंगे और कैसे वो इंश्योर होगा, तो ये चीज़ें. तो definitely watch that. I will also share these with you guys. और तो I think that's enough from my side for now. तो आप लोगों के कोई सवाल हैं या कुछ भी है तो